bienvenidos a Araceli Social Hub. Welcome to our social hub from the North State. We cover Shasta, Glen, Butte, and Tehamas counties, and today our guest is Andrew Berry. Say hello, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, good. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? Why are you here?
Yeah,
What are you going to talk to us about?
my name's Andrew Berry. I work with Prime Lending. I'm a mortgage lender. I live in Red Bluff, California. I like to play music in my off time and spend time with my wife and kids. And I lead worship for my church.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about your responsibilities in your work and what you do. Everybody hears, prime lending, loan officer. Like, what does it really entail?
Yeah, so I mean, being a loan officer, you're in charge of getting people qualified to buy a home. Getting them financing for a mortgage loan. I like to take things a step further. I help a lot of my clients, take a look at their credit and see what we can do to help get it up if we need to. Create financial game plans. So if they're not ready now to buy a home,
Right.
Whether it's 6 months or 8 months, by that time, as long as they, kind of do what we're saying,
Yeah.
by that time they should be ready to purchase a home.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that stands you guys out is that you're actually going to coach them, right? It's not just like, do this, this, and this. You're actually following up. Because I know I referred a couple of people to you, but I know I have some friends that have gone through you and also family members with Jody. So you have already a reputable reputation, right? And is that, like I said, you guys take the time and you follow through. You follow up to make it, to get to the goal to buying a home.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've worked with clients for over a year before that. As long as they're willing to take my calls, I'll check in with them every other month or so, see how they're going, if they're still on track, if we need to make some adjustments.
Right.
I'll bug them till they're ready, as long as they're willing to answer.
Okay. So you said one word is like when they're ready. So for those that are afraid to purchase a home, I mean, everybody listens to like stuff on social media, but like you're an expert, right? So my question is for those that have been, they've asked this question is how do you know like the credit score? How do you know when you're gonna be accepted for a loan, right?
Yeah, and really it comes down to speaking to a loan officer or a mortgage lender. Now every lender doesn't necessarily have the same requirements.
Right.
Like technically my company can do FHA loans down to a 580.
Wow.
580 FICO, and not everybody can do that. But really the quickest route is to find out what programs you're currently qualified for, and if you're not, what you need to do to get there, right?
Okay.
So if we need a little bit of work on the credit, but there are so many different programs out there. I mean, I have down payment assistance programs that go down to a 600 FICO. You don't need a 740 FICO and 20% down to buy a home.
Yeah.
Truthfully, not a lot of people have 20% down, and you don't need it. You can come in with as little as 3.5% down on an FHA loan or 3% down on a conventional loan if you're a first-time home buyer.
Right.
And then there's down payment assistance programs as well that can help cover that. There's so many different options.
So, for those that are listening and tuning in, and they're like, "There, you got your head spinning," because you actually answered questions that people have already asked, right? Like, the FICO score, the FHA loan, the 3.5%, that 20% down, or not having maybe to put something down. What is the website, or how can they get a hold of you to start that process?
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I give all my clients my direct cell phone. Nothing bugs me more than when you call an office line and have to find out that they're not in the office, and then they call you back 3 to 5 days later. I text my clients all the time. Or an email, yeah.
Or just not respond.
Yeah, so I mean, my number is 530-227-8442. Anybody can call or text me there.
530-227
8442.
8442. Perfect. And when this live is over, I'm going to put it like on our comments so that we can just go directly to you.
Yeah, and go ahead and throw my work email in there as well.
Okay, what's your work email?
It's Andrew, ANDREW .Berry, BERRY @primelending.com.
Okay, Berry @primelending.com. Okay, I'll put that on there as well. What are your office hours?
I mean, technically my office hours are 8 to 5.
Yeah.
But I mean, truthfully, I did a pre-qualification for someone at 10 o'clock last night because
Wow.
their work schedule doesn't allow them to come in during office hours. You know? So waited till I put my kids to bed, text them. I said, "Hey, got a couple minutes?" And then we hopped on the phone and busted it out in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's good to know because a lot of times, like, I have friends that are like they're looking to or they're fixing their credit to to purchase their first home, but it's like they work all day. They work from like 4 a.m. They don't get home till like 7 p.m. And it's like
Mhm.
literally the only downtime they have is like after 8, after they eat, after they
Mhm.
shower. And it's like it's nice to, I mean, I'm not saying to call you that late, but even to just to shoot you a text, right,
Oh yeah.
or an email, and then get that process going.
Mhm. Oh yeah. I tell every client I'm working with, I said, hey, you could text me at 11 o'clock at night. If I don't answer, I'm asleep, but chances are I might be awake.
Right. But you'll respond though, right? That's the important thing is that you're
Mhm.
gonna reply back.
Oh yes.
Okay. So that our people can understand better, tell us some like things that they need to be responsible for. Like we know you're gonna do your work because you're the expert, but do they have what do you expect from your clients, right? Like they have to have responsibilities too.
Yeah.
What is it that you would recommend for them?
Recommend. I mean, big thing is pay your bills on time.
Hmm.
If you got a credit card or a car payment, one of the things that affects your credit scores the most is late payments.
Okay.
So, just keep track of your financials. Um, and then just focus on a budget. I help clients set up budgets and show them kind of where their bleed is financially and where we could cut back to stash some money away. Again, you don't need $50,000 to make something happen, but sometimes during escrow even 2 grand can make a
Okay.
difference. And if we're on like a credit repair
Yeah.
scenario where we're 6 to 8 months out before our credit can get where it needs to be, in
Yeah.
that time frame, I'm like, hey, in that 6 to 8 months, where can we save, whether it's 3 grand or 5 grand. That way we're not in the same starting point when we get the credit fixed and we have done nothing else.
Right. I got a text. They want to know if it's home loans only or do you guys do property too if someone's interested in like purchasing property to build?
So like bare land.
Bare land,
We
yeah.
actually do land financing. I have a
Okay.
brokered out product, and we do construction loans.
Okay.
So we have multiple different options there.
Okay, cool. So there you go. Okay. So how can we help you reach the audience? So where are your customers? Is it
Mhm.
just the surrounding counties in Tehama County or do you help for like people that live further out?
Yeah, and truthfully, my company, I'm licensed in I think 43 states.
Okay.
So any family that you have, whether they're moving out of state
Yeah.
or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to take a look
Boston?
at and help. I might be
Okay.
actually.
Let me know.
I'll have to check. Yeah,
We
we
have
have
family
our
over there.
licensing page. I know Hawaii, you have to live in Hawaii, and we don't carry the license for. I think it's New York actually. So there's a couple, but most of them we can do loans in.
Okay. So focusing back like into Hima County,
Mhm.
what are the goals for you to hope to achieve during this show? Like to reach out to them? Like what message would you like to give them for those that want to own a home soon?
Yeah, I would say the biggest message, and I preach this, is don't be the number one factor that keeps you from buying a home. Thinking you need some crazy FICO score or crazy amount out of pocket. I mean, truthfully, every $10,000 you put down on a home swings your monthly payment by a solid $72 to $78.
Oh wow.
It's not very massive.
Yeah.
So if you have the credit but lack of funds is the issue, there's nothing wrong with just kind of looking into down payment assistance programs and what's
Yeah.
available there, because it can take a lot of people with how expensive things are in today's day and age.
Yeah.
It can take a lot of people forever to save up 10 grand. It's very difficult. And if you can get into a home now with a down payment assistance program, your home will typically appreciate in value at a much greater rate than how long it's going to take you to save that amount down.
Yeah. Okay. So what are some local community events that you go out and support?
So I'm part of Kiwanis.
Okay.
I'm one of the newer members, and they do a lot of functions for the community.
Yeah.
I do lead worship for my church. So that's, another community thing, and we do things around the area as well. And then really, those are
And
the two major things.
you
Yes.
sponsored Dia de los Muertos for us. We had an event on 2023
Mhm.
and you sponsored us. You gave us candy for the kids. So
That's
thank
true.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Prime
you.
Lending in and of itself sponsors quite a few things for around the
Yes.
area.
Is there any projects that you guys are having or that where we can support or I can support in any way?
I mean, my big project, truthfully, is to try and double how many people I've helped get into a
A
home
home.
in 2025.
Okay. All right.
I really want to stress that don't take no for an answer. If you've been denied by a mortgage lender, that doesn't mean that they were right or that someone else doesn't have an option as well.
Right. And I think that's very important for people to know. Just because someone told you no doesn't mean that the next loan officer is going to tell you no, because I believe you guys have like different work with different banks and lenders, right? Like, or
So
how
prime
does?
lending is actually backed by a bank. We do
Oh,
have
okay.
some brokered out options. There's a
Okay.
lot of avenues, but we're very flexible on our guidelines in general. We follow very strictly to what the program's guidelines are. A lot of companies will have their own restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So like FHA, a lot of companies will limit themselves and say we'll only do FHA loans down to a 640 FICO.
Mm-hmm.
And so prime lending in and of itself is very flexible when it comes to those requirements.
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't know that, but it's good to know. See, this is why we had to do this interview. Okay, so what has been your experience living here in Tehama County and like the homes? Like, I know that someone said like the rate is like at 5%, so that now the homes are gonna go up really high. Is that true? I mean, like, this is
This,
just stuff that's out there, right?
oh,
So,
we're
and
getting
people
into
are,
a big economic debate here. I personally believe so. I mean,
okay,
rates are trending downward.
yeah,
It is at a snail's pace. I don't believe it's the hype that everybody makes it up to be. Truthfully, the Feds just cut rates by 50 basis points, and that actually had a negative effect on long-term interest rates. They actually kind of have been ticking up. They're not
okay,
directly correlated, but they are tied in together. But the overall trend is that rates are going downward. Now, the one thing we're really struggling with is a
yeah,
lack of inventory,
okay,
right? I mean, it's nationwide, really, California especially.
yeah,
Um, but as rates come down, and a lot of those people who are having a tough time qualifying
yeah.
are able to kind of come out and relook at things, that's going to cause more competition in the market. And that competition is going to drive prices up just due to the lack of inventory of what's available on the market.
Okay. So why is it important to work with local businesses and realtors?
I would probably be retired if the amount of people sent my way who were denied by out of town lenders
Okay.
miscalculated property taxes or
Oh,
homeowners insurance, and that caused issues on the loan because they have no real knowledge about the area. And
okay.
truthfully, supporting your local businesses, those local businesses are the people that are volunteering at events for your kids
Right.
or donating towards your kids' soccer league, or they're the people who care about your community, and you're not just a ticket to them or a paycheck. They actually care about your financial well-being.
Okay. And that brings us to like, when should let's say you have a parent and they are like preparing their child or the young adults, right? Of
Mhm.
like making sure that they don't mess up their credit and,
Yeah.
to be a homeowner, at a young age, what do you recommend for them?
One, teach your kids responsibility on how to manage their credit cards, right? I mean, you don't need to keep a balance on your credit card to build credit.
Yeah.
Truthfully, use it responsibly, pay your bills on it, pay it off every month. Don't pay interest. It's a waste of your money. Um, that's the big thing is, when I was growing up, parents talking to their kids about finances, especially their finances and how they managed it,
Yeah.
was a bit taboo. It was very much like kids shouldn't be involved in what's going on financially. And
Yeah.
truthfully, I know there's a bit of a generational thing, but I really discourage that mindset because, schools aren't teaching your kids about credit management or
Right.
budgeting or how to do your taxes typically, and I think it's important to really coach your kids and set them up for success that way. That way they don't go get their first credit card and rack it up and then they're buried in debt and it just keeps
Right.
spiraling from there.
Okay. So, what are some of words of encouragement that you can give to our people, our audience in
Mhm.
Tehama and surrounding counties that want to be a first-time home buyer?
I mean, words of encouragement again, and I said this already, but if you've applied and someone's told you no, if they haven't told you exactly the reasons why and how to fix it, they're not doing you justice. They could also be wrong. They could be miscalculating your income. They could have their own overlays on what their company will allow for financing. So seek a second opinion. You know what
Okay.
I mean? And that's a big one. And then also don't get in your own way. I said that already too, but you don't need a 760 FICO and 20% down. Most people don't have that get into homes, especially their first home.
Right.
So take what you've heard off the internet out of the equation and go talk to someone directly about what exactly you need, FICO, down payment, what programs are available to you, and go from there.
Okay. There's a friend of mine that I just posted your information like on my Snap, right? And that's where a lot of people communicate me at a personal level. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Araceli, sometimes they're afraid to ask those questions on Facebook or Instagram because everybody's gonna see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she saw it on Snap and she's like, hey, what's that guy? Because you had an office in Corning, and I'm like, oh, this is him. Get a hold of him, and you got her into a home. Like she was just like, oh my gosh, he's so awesome. And so I think that for anybody's that's listening, like and share this video, and then also tag your friends, right? Share it with your family. Share this information because we have a goal to meet, and in 2025, we're gonna help
Mm-hmm.
Andrew get all these families into new homes. And like he said, what's your phone number, Andrew?
It's 530
Okay,
227 8442.
and your email.
It's Andrew, ANDREW, Berry, BERRY, at primelending.com.
All right, and where's your office located?
We're in Red Bluff. It's 340 Hickory Street, Suite 4, Red Bluff, California, 96080.
Okay. And I know that some of the things that are often said, it's like, do you have somebody bilingual? Do you or you don't at the moment?
And actually, it's not open like as far as public knowledge yet, but there is an LO that we're working on bringing
Okay.
on who is bilingual.
Okay. And I'm willing to help too. Like I have other like realtors where they're like, hey, can you get on the phone and like just translate this for me? We can do that too. So we do have a connection. So yeah, they have somebody bilingual. Yeah, they have me. Okay. Well, thank you, Andrew, for coming on my
Of
show.
course, thanks for
And
having me.
if you guys if need anything, please reach out and we'll put it out.
Awesome. Thank you so
Have a
much.
good afternoon. Adios.